Because I will tell you, man, we walked into the hotel to check in with a huge bag of toilet paper, huge bag, like Sam's size bag. And the look that the people at the check-in desk gave us was hilarious.
Welcome to the It Couple.
Here you will get to listen to a husband and wife babble
about life situations, enjoyment, and fantasies.
And without further ado, let's start the show.
Terrible.
So how was it going into a different country?
Well, I hate plane rides. Have I mentioned that I hate?
No, you should really. She could dig down into this.
Oh my God, I hate plane rides so bad.
Okay, so you know what? I don't even want to spoil it. I want you to talk about it and tell about what you found to help you endure plane rides.
Okay, so so you understand why okay, so I've never used to have, growing up, I don't remember having an issue with plane rides, but then at some point, like this fear, I guess, of plane rides, started spouting. And I mean, there are reasons here or there, but I don't need to necessarily like put it all out there with that, but either way, so my anxiety kind of like crept up. But again, like in the military, I went on planes constantly and I didn't have an issue with it so much, it just kind of was the thing. And every now and again at the end of the plane ride, I would throw up, but not every time. I have motion sickness problems. So, it kind of like contributed to each other, but it was like, whatever. It is what it is. This is my life when I ride a plane. And, but it didn't happen every time. So anyhow, jump years later and I started going on a plane again, and it had been a long time. And I'm telling you, my anxiety for plane rides was at a newfound high. It was horrible. I mean, this hour plane ride, I was like gripping the seat rails or the armrests.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I mean, if you saw a person who looked like they were in the worst situation ever, that was me. I mean, I was horrible. I hated it. I was like, after I got off of that, I'm like,
anxiety powered with Xanax.
oh my God, it was horrendous, the feeling that I had. And the thoughts that were going through my head, I kept thinking like, oh my God, we're gonna crash. And every bounce was just, that was it. And I'm like, this is horrible. I can't do plane rides. And I had to.
This is with your logical side in your mind, thinking that we are at the lowest plane crash rate ever.
I know.
In history.
No. I mean, logical does not go with fears. It just does not. It didn't matter.
Of all the calamities we've seen, plane crashes has not been the main one. I mean, plane crashes have not been, planes have been involved in some of these horrible things.
Again, logical. I am logical, but at that moment, not logical. Anyhow, so I finally found something. So I was like, all right, I got to try something. And I found it. And it was something I used to use when I was younger, and it never worked for me for my motion sickness problems, but it finally worked. So I used Dramamine, and it is my cure-all now with plane rides. So jump now to my trip to Canada. I got a lot of Dramamine for this trip to Canada.
How many bottles did you bring?
I only brought one travel size, but I'm telling you, there was probably a good 20 to 30 tablets that I fit into this little travel sized bottle. There was a lot of tablets in there, and I'm going like, yes, I'm probably going to use all of these, because when I tell you I went on a lot of planes, So
how many days?
Okay, we were gone for 6 days, but and in that time frame, in those 6 days at various levels, I ended up riding planes 6 times.
6 plane rides in 6 days.
So it was all connecting flights. We flew from here to a connecting place, from there to our destination. And we ended up doing that 6 times because we went to Ottawa, Canada, which, I mean, I'm telling you, had some of the nicest people I've ever met. Really nice, even in the plane, in the airport or whatever. We were coming out and we were going to customs, and I mean, they were so nice.
Shout outs to Ottawa for being super nice.
Yes. And I am sorry, Canadians, if I pronounce it wrong, but Putin, I don't know, whatever.
Poutine.
So, the thing is, in Canada, I kept asking them, all right, because I heard them, and they all everyone was pronouncing it differently. And I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly because people in Canada were telling me different pronunciations. So I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to get it wrong.
You know, we should probably put like an Instagram of poutine and just put on there, how do you pronounce this?
Right.
And there's maybe one of our Canadian listeners can definitely help us out.
But either way, so it was one of the Canadian things that we had to try. And pretty much it's French fries with gravy and cheese curds. And it was very yummy. I will definitely say that. But it was French fries with gravy and cheese curds. I was like, this is what it is. I did not expect that. I did not think I was about to eat French fries with gravy and cheese curds on it. You know, it's like, okay, I've never had cheese curds before, so that was an interesting experience. But
it sounds like something that would be on my preferred menu.
It was really good. Yeah. I mean, it was very good. So I'm not sure. Yeah. But either way, so yeah, no, we went up there. It was a business trip, and I went with the author that I work with, Evangeline Anderson, and we went to a book convention that was up there, and it was a really good book convention. There was a lot of people, but it's still actually one of the smaller. I've been to 2 book conventions now in my time working for her, and this one was a lot smaller than that one, but it kind of like it was meant to be that way. They limited the number of sales they had, and they pretty much did it as a way to like, okay, they had
the proper way to do it.
Yeah, they had they have this many authors that accepted, and they had a ratio in mind of how many readers to authors they want to have. So it's all about, giving it so that the readers can actually have time and be able to connect with these authors. Anyhow, so we had a couple games that we did, and we did a Brides of the Kindred wedding dress design with toilet paper, which was funny because I will tell you, man, we walked into the hotel to check in with a huge bag of toilet paper, huge bag, like Sam's size bag. And the look that the people at the check-in desk gave us was hilarious. We're like, we like your toilet paper. We're not bringing this to because we don't want your toilet paper or whatever. This is for a game.
Like, oh my God, these people are going to be shitting bricks.
I know. It was pretty funny.
There's 2 ladies walking up there with a whole lot of toilet paper. I don't know what is going to happen, but you want to make sure the toilets are definitely working for their room.
You should have seen the look I got too, after the whole thing was done, and we're like, we don't have anywhere to put this big bag of now used but not used toilet paper.
Okay, wait. Before we get to fill the imagination of people who do not understand what's going on, tell people what's happening with the toilet paper.
Okay, so they were, pretty much it was that they were designing and wrapping it around a person. So they were designing an outfit. Like if you've ever seen those mummy contests or things like that, where you have toilet paper and you wrap it around a person to make a mummy. We did a wedding dress design like that. So yeah, no, you used it to wrap around a person who was wearing clothes, by the way,
not only wearing toilet paper.
It was just a fun game, and they had a great time with it, and it was really funny to watch, and they made some great designs too with the wedding dresses. So I would recommend Googling, because it's actually a thing, like an big Instagram thing too, where they create these wedding dresses out of toilet paper, and they have some pretty awesome designs. You just don't want to get near any water. Anyhow, so they did that, and then we're obviously putting all these things away, and we're throwing it into a bag, and I had to go bring that bag down to the checkout place again, or the front desk, and I was like, yeah, so this is a used bag of toilet paper or whatever, and no, I mean not used, wait, how do I explain this?
That's the person sitting there, you're handing me what?
We used it for a game. It's okay. And no.
What kind of game were you doing with toilet paper, lady? This isn't making it any better.
I know.
Yeah, they handed me a bunch of used toilet paper and they said they were playing a game. I don't know what's happening, but I'm getting gloves now.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So that was one of the funny things too that we had to do. And then the one of the other games we did was Jeopardy Game, which I had to do a PowerPoint, and I had to set up a projector, and while like I am good with IT stuff and everything like that, that was something I've never had to do before. So it was like,
that'll be on my list too.
Yeah. So it was like a little like, oh my God, can I do this? And then, okay, so we pre-set it up. So I felt like a lot more comfortable. Like, okay, I've got it. I could do this. I just set it up now. I got it working. I'm okay. And then the day came that like, okay, now we have 10 minutes. They give you a 10-minute time frame between all of these. So the previous, whoever was in there before, all of them were leaving or talking or chit-chatting as everybody, and I'm telling you, while we were waiting for these doors to open to let us into our group, people were like already lining up there. And by the time it was all said and done, we had almost 50 people in this game for Jeopardy. 50 people. It was like the last group that we had was like 20.
But which I feel like a little happy about that, because I baked a little Jeopardy game.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, so
you're much better at making PowerPoints than I am.
Well, I'm just happy it worked out, and not only that, but so many people were involved in it. So that was really cool.
There was a lot of them that were like, I mean, you can't have that many people playing Jeopardy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Jeopardy.
I know we thought about doing like teams and stuff like that, but we're like, that's just insane. There's no way. Yeah. So anyhow, a lot of them were just kind of watching, but they interacted and stuff. So anyhow, we have, okay, all these people are coming in, and we're like, okay, we got to get in here and set this up. And I'm like, all right, I'm getting in, I got all the stuff set in its place, and now I need to plug it in. And then I went under the table where, the plug-in was before, and it wasn't there. And I was like, oh shit, where's the plug-in? Where's the power cord? And then I looked to see, where the actually you plug it into the wall. And I'm like, I can't reach that. There's no way. Oh my God, I got to get an extension. I don't have an extension cord with me. Oh shit. So I'm like running out of there, going downstairs. I need a power cord extender or whatever. Okay, we'll send one up. Yeah. And so I'm getting up there, and I'm, setting everything else up that I possibly can set up while waiting for the hotel staff to come in, watching this room filling up with people going like, I don't have a plug-in for this.
I actually can relate to that. I mean, I think with that amount of people or more, for my work there, we have to set up presentations for learning sessions or whatever, or classes or whatnot. And we have had ordered so many extensions because we ran into that situation where we didn't have this. It was a big giant hall of 3 different, actually 4 different presentations going off at the same time. So using all the extension cords for power, for VGA connections. This is the blue cable that's connected to your monitor, if you don't know what that is. And one of our projectors went out, but luckily we had someone that was prepared. And that projector that you use, that was the projector that he used when our projector failed, and it was like, oh goodness. And it's just like, it's something that's just like the relief, and you have people piling in the room, and it's like, oh my God, we're going to have this thing. Oh, we don't have power, we don't have this. And
I know,
like, oh my God. And this one guy comes up, don't worry, I got it.
I don't know what we would have done if that had not, that would have really sucked. But anyhow, so it came just in the nick of time, and I plugged it all in and got it all up and running. It was like, whew. So, it all worked out just fine. And, and we got through the game, and everybody seemed to have a really good time with it, and so yeah. And then after that, let's see. Oh, so once the book convention was actually done, which was the reason we went up to Canada, then Evangeline is a huge Anna Green Gables fan, and who knows whenever we would have she would have ever had the opportunity to go up to Canada to do that again. So she was like, well, while we're here. So,
visit Anna Green Gables.
Yep. So we had to, we left the book convention and we had a flight that took us to Toronto, which I was only ever in the airport, and then we went from Toronto to Charlottetown, where the PEI is, the Prince Edward's Islands, which is where the Anna Green Gables thing is a big, that's where it's set.
Yes.
And so that was another 2 planes that we had to take to there. So now at this point, I've been on 4 planes. So we got in there 2 a.m. The next that day we woke up, a few hours later, and we did everything we possibly could into that one day. I mean, everything. And it rained that day too there, So that's where the umbrella, which I'll put the picture up, came into play. So
how was the rain there? I mean, it rains here a lot in good old Florida here. How was the rain in Canada?
Yeah. So, I mean, the weather out there was actually pretty similar to in Florida. It was humid in the 80s, but their humidity not on the same level as our humidity, but still, I could feel the humidity, but it was like a light breeze humidity, where anybody who's been in Florida during summer
swim here.
Yeah. It's like, you're in an ocean of humidity here, So yeah, otherwise it was still warm. You'd get in the sun. It was warm, but not terrible. So yeah, it was interesting. And we stayed at a bed and breakfast, and we were eating the breakfast while we were there. And all of a sudden some people came in, and it's like, oh, it's raining outside. And we looked out the window yeah, it's raining outside, and they're like, oh, it's a nice warm rain. And so we're like, oh, okay, we'll have a nice warm rain. And we went out onto a balcony a little bit later, and it was still raining. And yeah, no, that was not a warm rain. I don't think they know the definition of warm rain, because, wow, it was cold. It ended up being in the 60s or 70s that day, and it had been in the high 80s the day before there, so.
And it's what, it was July?
August, yeah.
Yeah, August. Okay, so August, weather. So this is what we would... Us Floridians would consider, the hot weather. So experiencing cold in August, and it
was hot for them up there,
for them.
Yeah, but compared to what we're used to, it was nothing like it. So, but anyhow, it was raining that day, and it was cold rain. It really was. I don't care what you say. That was chilly. But anyhow, so the bed and breakfast had umbrellas, and so it was like, hey, and so I found this nice yellow umbrella with a flowers on it, and I was like, oh, it's such a pretty umbrella. So I liked that umbrella, and I grabbed that one, and we went about our day, and and as I started going, it became quite clear that people were like, oh, your umbrella matches your shirt, and I hadn't chosen it for that reason, but it really did match my shirt.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, we went on a tour. We saw Anne and Gilbert the Musical, which was awesome. I loved that musical. I hope that maybe someday they bring it to the United States on tour and I will see it again, because I really liked it. It was really good.
Better than a Wicked?
You can't even compare it to it.
Okay.
They're on a completely different level,
here's my I have seen more plays lately than
okay. Wicked is like an angsty kind of movie where or musical where Anna and Gilbert the Musical.
One that can compare?
I guess Beauty and the Beast is about as close as you could compare it to.
Okay, and my favorite was Lumiere, and there was nothing else that can compare to that. Lumiere was just the show for me.
They had 2 comedic roles in the Anne and the Gilbert the Musical one, and but they were both females, but they were really funny. They were really cute. It was I really enjoyed it. And yeah, so that was cute. And we were the very front row, and this is okay. We went to see Hunchback the Musical, and it was in a community kind of center. Yeah, we had seatings like that. We were the front row,
nice.
But they weren't on a stage. like they were right on the same level as us. So they're like twirling around in their dresses, and literally I kept getting breezes from these dresses, and some of them, like I could feel them rub against my legs as they're like rolling by me, and I'm like, wow.
Oh, okay, wait a second. We had the front row before.
Yeah.
When we went to the
Hunchback.
Hunchback in Notre Dame. Also, I want to shout out to Erica Garafa. She is awesome. She played Esmeralda.
Yep.
Yes.
Good job.
I want to make sure I pronounce that right. I'm not good with names at all. But she did a stellar job. Anyway.
Well, and actually the funny part is, while I was watching Anne and Gilbert the Musical, I kept thinking like, wow, she could play either of these. Like she couldn't really. Well, she could probably do the Anne character. It's just she would need red hair.
She was wearing a wig when she was doing the other part.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like I kept going like, oh, I could just hear her singing these songs. So Erica, if you're listening, you should look up Anne and Gilbert the Musical. And if you can find their songs, I really think that you would do really well with those. Maybe try to get
we voted for you too.
Yes, we did. Try to push it, get the place that we saw. Like I kept thinking like, oh, it'd be so cool to see this at our community, the center we saw the Hunchback of Notre Dame at or whatever, but anyhow, so it was really good. I liked it.
Okay. To move on to the next. So after that was your last day, right?
Yes. And after that, the very next morning, we got up at 4 a.m. to then go to our plane flight. And I went on another 2 planes. So there was our 6th.
So how much Dramamine?
Oh my God. I went through pretty much the whole thing that I brought with me. I kept watching it get lower and lower. And I mean, so pretty much every flight, a normal 1.5 to 2 hour flight, I have to take 1 to 2 Dramamine, and that's probably the 2 is a little bit more than I probably would need, but it's like, it's a safety, okay, either I have, it always recommends 1 to 2. So I take 2, and it's like, okay, so that's a safety measure for me because it's either I take 2 or I throw up, so I take 2. And when our first leg of the trip, when we were getting up to Canada, the second, it was the first flight actually we took, and it was actually a 2.5 hour, and I was like, okay, I should be okay with this. I've taken a 3.5 hour or a 3 hour flight, and I did have to take an extra Dramamine on that flight, but I'm like, this one's 2.5 hours, it's a little less, I should be okay. And the last leg of that trip, that flight, we hit some major turbulence. I mean, people, it was major. Like,
you're popping out your seat.
Yeah. No, it was really bad. And my Dramamine was wearing off. And that was the last 30 minutes of the flight. It was entirely bouncing up and down. Like totally bouncing. Like, not just a little bit, but fully oh my God, I did not think I was going to make it, but I did. I made it. I was good. I was okay. And from then on, all right, anything over 2 hours, I'm taking a third Dramamine. So.
And then you finally got home and knocked out for the next day.
I know. Right? I was so doped up. It's crazy.
Oh boy. Okay. So on your extremely Canadian adventure, you arrived back at the U.S.
Yep.
You've talked to a few Canadians there. Were there any interesting discussions that you've had that we were talking about the U.S. and because there's been some weird stuff in the news and
Well, I can definitely say they are not a Trump fan. No, they have very.
But they were polite about it, right?
Yeah, no, actually, they really were. They were very. They didn't hate on Americans. They didn't hate us for Trump. They just don't like Trump.
Yeah.
And it's probably he is kind of not the greatest when it comes to communicating with our international allies.
He's not great at communicating. Let's just okay.
Well, no, he's great at communicating. He puts his opinion out there all the time.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. In that respect, yes, he is. And like I said in my last podcast too, I am not putting out like where we kind of align politically or anything like that.
And I didn't there either. Like I very much stayed like whatever.
But I do feel like non-political. We can at least say about his character, as a person, not politically wise, he is a very outspoken gentleman,
and he doesn't always say things that he probably should.
Very much so.
I mean, it's like, but yeah. So so anyhow, they had obviously that viewpoint, but actually, the thing that they were very much talking about that we don't really talk about quite as much in America, is the what do they call it? The green, where you have to
going green.
Yeah, going green, like
green tea, save the world, recycling.
Yeah, but why do we do that?
Oh, greenhouse gases. That's what I think you're looking for.
Well, no. Global warming. There we go. I know it's like, man, it's like on the tip of my tongue. Anyhow, so they talked about it. I mean, everybody I talked to brought it up at one point. Every single person. Like, it's a big discussion up there. And they had this in our hotel room. Okay, usually you have these nice small little trash cans, right? They had this teeny cute, I should have taken a picture of it, but this teeny cute little recycle bin. It was like a blue recycle bin, exactly what we think of as a recycle bin, just miniature size. I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I've ever been to a place where I've seen a miniature recycle bin.
Could a can fit in there? Or how big?
No. Okay, so you have, it was probably like maybe a foot wide and then like less than a foot deep.
Okay, I can't even think of anything. I'm thinking like one of our like cube box.
Small, a little smaller than our cubes.
That's pretty small. That's pretty small.
Yeah, it was short or whatever, but it was wider probably than those boxes. But but yeah, so anyhow, it was, I mean, I was like, oh my God, I gotta recycle. What do I recycle? I don't know how to recycle.
Oh my goodness, why I remember we had to talk at a workplace about recycling and stuff like that, which I kind of just went, I'm gonna go back to work, guys. Thank you.
I know, it's not
our focus on and I think in the US on recycling has not been exactly the best. And in many respects, I mean, we do have recycling bins out there, but as far as like how to properly do it, I think that for most of the cases, we're miseducated. And when we see like the trash can companies go out there picking stuff, 90% of that's probably much going straight to the dumpster anyway because they can't use it. Yeah,
and the other cool thing too, like every time we went out to a restaurant, they never brought us a straw, not once.
Oh yeah, Phil DeFranco has talked about that too on his show, on that podcast.
Yeah, but it's a thing up there. Like they do that, and and then the other thing is we learned we had to ask for ice with our drinks because I mean, like I like my drinks like ice cold, so they don't automatically bring you out ice, so I had to ask for ice. And then the other weird thing that we ran into too while we were up there was, we went into a restaurant and, we it's a normal, you get seated down, they bring you the menus, you get a drink, and then we order our drinks and then we're like, okay, we're ready to order our food. And we're like, where's our waitress? And eventually she came. And then we're like, okay, so we ordered our appetizer and our food. Then we're like talking and we're like, where's our food? And it was just like this long drawn out process. And we're like, this is weird. Like we're so used to constantly being rushed. And I mean, and the people sitting right next to us, they were just drinking beer. They never ordered food. They ordered beer after beer. They were trying a bunch of different beer. And I mean, a lot of beer. And I'm like, they must have, the entire time we ate our entire meal.
It's sounding so nice to me right now.
They have
this poutine. You got people who go into a restaurant just to drink beer. And that's what I would want to do. I mean, sit down at a restaurant, have food and whatever.
Yeah, they weren't at a bar. They were at just a normal table, just drinking beer.
Yeah, that sounds awesome to me.
Well, I know, but think of an American way. Like,
you go to the bar.
Yeah. You don't really see that so much here. And then you're constantly moved in and moved out as quickly as possible. And so we were like curious. So we talked to them like, I mean, is this like a normal thing or was just like a one-time thing? And apparently it is a very normal thing. They kind of let you take your time. You go there, you sit down, you converse, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. We because there's this whole like, we don't want to Americanize our like this process. We know that things are done differently in a different culture, but we want to make sure like this is like that it's meant to be this way, right? This isn't like us,
right. Kind of like, you know what? This is kind of weird. This is we've been having beers all night. This is weird. I don't know what's going on. They will
say like if it is weird or whatever, they will let you know. They're like, we agree with you. This is a little odd, but anyhow, so apparently up there they actually make a minimum wage, and their minimum wage was like, I think they said $13 an hour. And the servers themselves make that. So obviously they're not in as big of a rush as like, say, in America, where they do not make that, because in America, like, tips are their money. That's where they make their money. And the more tables that they have, the more tips that they get. So they move you in and out as quickly as possible.
And all the businesses have been kind of aligned to kind of work in that. So even if you do work, because there are restaurants now that are kind of looking at full-time wages, they still run from that history.
Yeah. So this one didn't have that. That they don't have that issue is there. So, they were okay with you taking your time, so it was like, oh, okay, this is really good. This is okay. I'm okay with this. It was weird. There were times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting like this anxiety level because I need to move. I need to eat. I need to get out of here. But then I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm in Canada. It's okay. I'm in Canada. I can go slower. Do it the way the Canadians do. I don't know.
So apparently going to Canada is a good stress relief. That's what it is.
Except when you're driving. I will tell you, oh my God, they were some of the craziest drivers. These are the nicest people I've ever met. And then they get on the road and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. They were like really, I don't know what speed they were going because they're I didn't know. I never knew what temperature exactly it was. I never, thankfully.
Celsius?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I mean, they're all kilometers and, and I'm going like, and like when we're weighing our luggage and stuff like that, I'm going like, I have no idea if this is overweight. I really have no clue because I don't know kilogram or whatever it was they were weighing it in. And, and then the other thing is I never knew what speed they were going because I'm looking at it. It's at, I don't know. It looked like they were going at 150 and I'm like, holy shit, we're going really fast, but I have no idea what we were going.
That's not going to spot the American. Like, oh, they think it's 50,
but yeah, no, they were pretty crazy drivers. And I mean, we're in a bigger city, so it could also be the bigger city thing.
Yeah, that is true.
But so either way, like, it was a pretty interesting trip all in all. Thankfully I know 24-hour things because they do that there too. They have a 24-hour clock, and from being in the military, I know 24-hour clocks, but obviously some Americans might not have as easy as a transition. I see 1300 and I automatically know it's 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So, but you get other people who maybe don't know that, and it's like they don't even know what time it is.
Carried it to round the 4.
Yeah, right. But so I get it. Like there's times even like since I don't use 24-hour clock as much now, there are still times where I'm like, wait, what time is that again? Oh yeah, okay, I got it. But. So yeah, no, I mean, there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened on my trip, and and I really enjoyed Canada, not the plane flights so much, but
so babe, Laura, final thoughts on your trip. How did Canada leave an impression on you, and what would you like to take from Canada to here in the United States? Is this something that we could maybe share?
Well, I think all in all, I it's hard to say. Like, there's a lot of things that I definitely liked that they did. I really did. I enjoyed my trip very tremendously. I hated flying up there. I hated flying back. If there was another way, if I could just transport places, that would be awesome. Like, I mean, seriously,
you mean teleport?
Yeah, whatever.
Teleport.
I don't care how I get there. I just hate flying.
Because you've been transporting. That was the problem.
Okay, teleport instantly. Woo, I'm there. Woohoo! But yeah, no. I mean, they were very, very nice. Like, and I have this anxiety, I guess, when I talk to people I don't know, and in America and anywhere really, like, because I have this idea that they're going to like yell at me, like, or be upset with me, or and it's very possible. It happens plenty of times when I talk to people, and I just go to a restaurant and you deal with that person who's a little snippy, or you're in a line in Walmart and you got that person behind you, whatever. I mean, we run into it all the time. We're surrounded by it, where people are just in a bad mood. They're honking, they're honking their horns at you while you're driving because you're not going fast enough, or they speed around you.
I remember I was going on like this is going onto the freeway. I'm making the turn. It's a single lane, and then I'm going like I believe like 60 miles an hour, or not 60 miles an hour. That would be crazy. So somewhere like 40 miles an hour. So I was going the proper speed to get up to do the merge.
Yeah.
And in the middle of going in turn and coming up I'm going up this hill in a car. This truck like shares lanes with me, like, and then like just straight jumps to the other lane, not even trying to merge or like look across, flips me off, and then like goes, and I'm thinking to myself, what? Why? Where? I'm driving safe here. And it's not like there was like a crowd of cars or this was packed traffic or this was anything going crazy. It was at night because I was working a late shift back in the days and working for Sprint. And making this whole merger thing, like this is beautiful traffic. Just wait like 2 seconds and you'll get to where you're going.
Right.
And like I have someone screaming and flipping me off, like, what's going on?
Yeah, so like the thing is, okay, in America, obviously I run into plenty of nice people. But honestly, they're kind of the exception. I feel like most of the time people they're not happy or smiling. We're just kind of like, we just kind of go about our days and, do our thing.
And we actually feel free to let that show.
Yeah. So we do. Up there, I don't know if maybe it's an act or something. I don't know. And I'm sure, and we did run into a couple people that, maybe were a little bit more grumpy, I guess. But all in all, the majority of people I ran into, I mean, they were the nicest people. You would just ask for anything. And, and then they did this thing, too. Like, if we didn't know where to go or something, they would repeat their directions. So they would tell you once, and then they would tell you a second time. And, and it's not something I would have thought about. But, they're making sure that, like, exactly where they're trying to tell you to go, and it's like,
so you don't get lost.
Yeah.
That could be dangerous.
You don't run into that so much here. If you're lost, they're like, Google it, like.
Or actually what we normally get, especially like me being down south from Georgia and whatever, you just make that left down the tire park and you're going to see like this whale truck that's just sitting there. He's never moved in 60 years. And he's going to make a turn left right up in that fork. Don't turn all the way left. Just half the left. And then you'll get there. And trust me, if you get back, you see like Pinky Green, he's always in outside around 5 o'clock. He'll be on in the corner. You've gone too far.
Nice.
That's the American way. That's
hilarious. Yeah, no, there wasn't quite that bad. but yeah, no. So like there was we went to a farmer's market kind of place, and and they let you like test out the food before you bought it, and and like there were even times where like we were in a line of sorts, and like we were waiting at a bakery, and they came up and like, okay, who was here first? And everybody was like, they were here first, and they were there first. You usually have to do numbers, here.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to be like, oh, it's me first, even if you weren't there first. So it's like, but everybody, I mean, I watched everybody in that bakery be like, yeah, they were here first. I'm like, oh, okay, and they helped them out. And I'm like, holy crap.
We were seeking opportunity. You know what? Maybe I was here first. Yeah. I just walked in.
So it's like, and even though they were like crazy with the driving and stuff like that, it was mostly like a speed and they're going in and out or whatever.
And it could just be a natural feel of them knowing the area.
Not once do I remember hearing a horn honk. There were times even where like I saw them at, like our driver like moved into a spot and they were like, oh, sorry or whatever. And so like the people were fine. There was no flipping them off, nothing like that. No screaming, no horns honking. We even passed by an accident, and they were all like, they were talking to the police officer.
If you're listening and you're a U.S. person, this has to be foreign as I don't know what to you. I've lived in cities where, it's small towns before and you still hear about people going bonkers and crazy and riding your butt with their
and this
brights
is a big
on.
city. I mean, it was very big. Like, I don't know how exactly big Ottawa is. It's really hard to kind of like compare because they didn't necessarily know all the U.S. cities and we didn't know
but we've been in small areas before and you still have that happening.
Yeah.
It can be just two Americans in a car and they'll probably just yell at each other just because they're used to it.
Yeah, and I mean, and it wasn't, I wasn't just trapped in a hotel, where everybody there was serving you, although they were super nice too. And like, I've been to hotels that aren't super nice, where they were like mean to you.
With you.
I mean, we were constantly like, we would call, so I got to the hotel, and I mean, you knew about this one. We got to the hotel, and since it was a book convention, the hotel was very booked, and so we had gotten a room that only had one queen, and then it had a sofa bed, and anybody who slept on a sofa bed, and they're not the best, but it was like, all right, we have to make do with what we have. So so we open it up, and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be so uncomfortable. And so we called to see if maybe they had the possibility of a room that was open that had two beds, and they didn't, but they're like, okay, do you want us to send you up some extra pillows and and stuff? And we're like, yes, go ahead, do that. And they came up and they brought us a mattress topper, like a cushy mattress topper. I didn't even know hotels carried those things, but I was like, wow, that is nice. And I put that mattress topper on there, and holy crap, I wanted to take that thing home with me. That was the comfiest. It took a sofa bed that was not comfy. It was any sofa bed you've ever slept on. It was that bad, and it turned it into, I swear, I felt like I was sleeping in the best bed in the world. It was the most comfiest bed ever. I didn't have any problems, and I had bad back. I didn't have any issues. And I was like that. I was fine. Nothing. That was really comfortable. And they didn't even like, we didn't have to ask for it. They just brought it up to us, and there was numerous occasions where things like that happened. We got something, the projector, and we needed some batteries for the remote. And we're like, we're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. We don't want to just, it was late, so we're like, okay, let's kind of call and see if maybe they have it. And we were more willing to call because so far our experiences with them were super nice. So we're like, well, they've been nice so far, so maybe this will be okay. So we called them. Oh my god, they hunted us down like the batteries that we needed, and they brought them up to us. And then the day we were checking out too, like they were really busy because that was the last day of the book convention, and everybody was there, and everybody was also checking out because they were going to be leaving. Not everybody, obviously, but a lot of them. I mean, you have a hotel, and this hotel is probably not normally booked out, but they were booked out, so every room was filled. Plus they have extra people in there who are just there for the convention that aren't actually staying at that particular hotel, but are somewhere else, and then now you have all those people, plus, the people who are checking out, who are leaving their luggage with you and things like that, which we were doing that too. We left our luggage with them. They put it in a locked room with the employees, so they had their eyes on it and stuff like that, and they were super nice about letting us do that. But I've had a hotel willing to take my stuff before too and hold it for me.
Yeah.
So that, again, that's not necessarily an uncommon practice, but either way, so like that day, we needed to bring some books that were really heavy, plus along all of our luggage down, and they only had 2 luggage carts, so they were all being used, and they're like, okay, well, we'll hunt it down. Literally, they sent a person who went to every floor looking for a luggage rack, and they couldn't find the baggage racks, but they brought a guy who he found a dolly, and he was like, I can take the boxes for you and stuff like that, and I can come back for the luggage. And we're like, oh, well, we can roll our luggage. We brought it all up here. It wasn't such a biggie, but the boxes were full of books, printed books, and they were heavy. We're like, we're not going to be able to carry those down. So he took those and brought them down to where we needed to. And I mean, he had gone to every floor, and that happened twice that day because, we called twice, as a, like, well, they didn't have it now, but okay, maybe now they have it kind of thing. And, and it was just like, I mean, there was just so many. Okay.
I have to ask, do you remember the name of the hotel?
Well, it was Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn?
Yeah.
Wait. So whoever's up there, Holiday Inn. Why does our U.S. Holiday Inn?
It was the Holiday Inn in Canada, and I can tell you, it took me forever to say that right. I kept wanting to say katana, but it's Canada with a K. Canada. And but yeah, no, I mean super.
Isn't katana with a K?
If you go to Ottawa, stay at that inn, that Holiday Inn. Canada.
Yes.
It was clean. It was great. There were a couple people who had some issues with their room, and they were like, and so, but they were like, yeah, they told the front desk and they sent somebody to fix it or whatever. I mean, things are going to get broke. You have like a gazillion people using this stuff. The things will break, but they were all super nice about it. Anything we ran into, they were willing to help. They ran around helping us. We went into, we had like, lots of, we had lots of time that we had to wait in between, and we had already checked out of our hotel room that day, and but the event was still going on, and we weren't ready to leave yet at that point because the event was still going on, and our flight wasn't until a little later. So so we're like, okay, what are we going to do? We're just going to kind of chill out in the lobby. But they had a restaurant, and we sat in there, and and of course, the American way, we're like sitting in there going like, we're going to take up a seat, but we're not hungry. We just ate, but we're like, okay, we'll order some drinks, and we're like, sorry, we just need to order some drinks. Is it okay? Yeah, no problem. And I mean, he was so super nice and served us and gave us our drinks. And we sat there for the next hour and a half, I think, just drinks. And we didn't order a bunch of drinks, but we're like, wow, this is just so weird.
And Canada's not that far. And I think what I find interesting, being on the outside person looking in, is that there's such a difference for our neighboring country that I would have a hard idea thinking. I would think that Canada would be like, just like the U.S. for most part. They have there's differences, of course, but hearing you talking about it just kind of shows that there is that's a different culture up there, a slightly
it is. They're also similar in a lot of ways too. It's like the. Like one of the things was they thought it was pretty funny that they wanted to know whether they had an accent, and they're like, you don't really sound like you have an accent to us. Do we have an accent? And, it's like, well, you do have a little bit of one, but I have a lot of family from Minnesota, and honestly, it was very, very similar of an accent to that. And then like there was an author who was from Alabama, and so, Southern accent. And so they were speaking, and I was like, okay, the accent you hear, I hear it too. Like,
now, was this like the Southern Belle?
Oh yeah, no, very, very
sweet
thick.
child, and you can like feel like sweet tea just going to
yeah, no, I know. Like, yes, very, very thick Southern accent, you know, obviously still speaking English, you know, but it's still like, I mean, the accent that they heard that was like, whoa, you know, was the same accent I heard. Where Florida, I mean, we don't really have, you know, we're the only place.
We have a non-bilingual accent.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I always say, and my dad has told me this like my whole life, Florida is the only place you have to go north to go south, you know, and it's very true because, you know, you have a lot of people from north that come here and they retire.
Do I have an accent?
No, I mean, no, I don't hear one. So.
I don't hear an accent from you.
Yeah. So, you know, and then the other thing was, too, there was someone from the UK there, you know, and yeah, like, again, very much an accent, like, hard. I had a hard time understanding what she was saying sometimes.
Wait. Was this like the I'm just wondering, because I know there's like two different distinct accents over and the over there. There's like the very clean cut, and then there's the kind of like little I want to say sloppy, but I think that's the only way I can think of it.
Well, it's a slang kind of thing, I think. I don't know. I would not be able to distinguish the two from each other. I do know that I've made a trip to England before, and when I was there, I swear like this person was speaking an entire different language to me. I had to be like, could you slow down? Because I did not understand anything she was saying, and she was speaking English. I knew she was speaking English, but I'm like, I can't understand you. I really can't. You know, and this was before. The author that was from the UK that I talked to, she was a lot better. She enunciated a little bit more. I think she's interacted with enough people from other countries that she knew like she needed to kind of slow down and speak clearly a bit. So I didn't have as big of an issue, although there were still words every now and again that I'm like, I don't understand this word, you know, but again, it might have been a slang kind of thing or something. And then they have like, you know, they're talking about like, you know, their government that they have and stuff like that with the queen and, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so funny, you know, and in Canada, from my understanding, we were in a part of Canada that had the Canadian English and then those who spoke the French. And you know, and a lot of them seem to be bilingual. It seemed to be a pretty big part of their school system that you learn both English and French, but not everybody did. So some just knew English and some just knew French. And so like, you know, most of the people I interacted with obviously knew English. You know, that was kind of the part that we were in. They didn't speak French, and if they did speak French, it wasn't like they knew English too. And you know, because we everywhere we went, every plane ride we were on in Canada, they spoke English. And then they said it in French. They repeated it in French. So, you know, it was like, okay, so it was obviously a huge part of their culture, you know, and then they had also a pretty big connection to England, to Britain.
I guess that's similar to how, like in Florida, we have a lot of we call it things that speak it in
Spanish. Yeah. Because we have a very large, Spanish population. But the difference is that up there, it's actually law. That French is like added after everything. So they have to do it in both English and French. We're here. It's kind of just something we do for the most part, but it's not law. But the French is a part of their language up there. Yeah. That's law. Not that everybody has to learn it, but you know, most of them do.
Yeah, because Puerto Rico is still part of the U.S.
Yes, I know. They were asking me about that. They didn't think Alaska was. They didn't think Alaska was a state. The couple people I talked to, and I was like, yeah, no, Alaska's a state, Hawaii's a state, and they're like Puerto Rico, and I'm like, no, that's actually a U.S. territory. So it was interesting having these kind of conversations with them.
Discussing it's surprising. Even Americans, it's not something that's wide known even amongst Americans, just how expansive that our territories are. Because there's a lot more than you would think, and that's cool, but have taught me.
Well, and like the interesting part that like in Canada, they talked about like, they have a pretty wide connection with Britain and England and stuff like that. So they talked about that. And there was a few, they talked about the Queen, but I'm not sure if their Queen is England's Queen or if they have a completely different Queen. Because I thought they said Queen Victoria. So they might have a completely their own Queen. I don't know if there's a Canadian Queen. If anybody knows Canada, I'll probably Google it later, but I don't know.
Dude, thank you for listening if you read it this
far. But yeah, no, it was very interesting. It's certainly a lot of aspects of it that like we went to PEI. I think the funniest thing on the tour, one of the other Americans that was on this bus, they asked like, so what exactly is your crime rate like here? And they're like, well, we have your normal, like, you have break-ins here and there or whatever. And then once every 3 to 4 years, we have a murder.
Just to throw the insane amount, how many murders have we had just like within like the same year or month's time span?
I know.
Town to town, city to city.
This was a much smaller town. PEI isn't, although it's actually pretty big. They were like saying they had like 100,000 people or something like that, or a couple 100,000.
Okay.
So it's a pretty decent
it's
size.
Still very. I mean, even for like here in Tampa, just turn on the news.
Well,
someone else died.
Tampa's a lot bigger of a city, so yeah. But I mean, even when we lived in Fort Myers, like it, it.
Yeah, we
yeah.
It wouldn't. It's not. It's one another one. That's certainly.
Well, and then he was saying that most of the time those murders are they're actually a marriage dispute or civil dispute kind of thing or something. Like, it's not necessarily that like some person was like, I'm, going to go shoot up this person or whatever. It was literally that like they were having an argument and guns became involved kind of thing. So it was like, or maybe not guns. I don't know what they murdered with. It wasn't, we didn't ask about that, but
they had an argument in poutine.
But either way, so yeah, no, that was an interesting conversation that had, and and they were it was all definitely an interesting experience, which I mean anytime you go to another culture it certainly is, and they thought it was pretty funny too, because like they talked about how like everywhere you went could be a completely different experience in Canada, and they seem to think that America's like all the same, and it's like I had to explain like
a lot of countries think that, and so they come, and so like from where I work at, we work with a wide gamut of people in different countries and different and around the world, and it is kind of interesting when I do talk to some people, even within my own team that I work with. We're very diverse. We have different backgrounds. We have different dialects. We come from all across. You'll talk to one person, and you get someone else talk like this, and then you'll talk to me, and I talk like this, and you get somebody as like, well, then we do this, and we do that, or whatever, and then you have someone with a Spanish accent. It's like, it's hard to gather who I'm talking to and where I'm from when I'm talking to someone. It's like it's hard to gather where you guys are coming from, because there's like so much different, and you're just guys as one team. It's like, there's a wide gamut of America.
Yeah, we're very diverse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like they talked about how like, well, just because in Ottawa we do this, if you go to like, Charlottetown or whatever, it's a little different. Or if you go to Toronto, it might be a little different. So like they were talking about that like it was like, an unusual thing or something. And they're like, oh, it's because we're so big. Like, I mean, yeah, if you go to any one of our states, it could be completely different. Then you could go to a completely different city in the same state, and it could be an entirely different thing. So, anybody who knows Florida, Tampa and Miami.
God, yes. There's
very different.
Very different. Actually, just go one state above and onto Georgia, and then like say on a Sunday night, I'm feeling like I want a beer, and get amazed by.
Oh my God!
You don't sell beer at this time at night. And I would think, and I was thinking to myself, this can't be America anymore.
Yeah, I know. I remember the first time I went to a dry county. I did not know. I was a kid. I knew my parents drank alcohol. I didn't know what the hell a dry county was, and then it's like, yeah, so they don't sell liquor and a lot of them like wouldn't sell it on Sundays. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a thing. I know. I'm still in America.
I think Super Bowl booze and beer and burgers and this is what we do. And like, what do you guys do for Super Bowl?
The thing is, obviously, it's still America. It's just a completely different, city, and they have a different kind of society and culture and stuff like that. But, it happens. Like, you go to one place that might be completely different than what you're used to. That doesn't mean it's wrong. It
doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just, it's how others live.
Yeah, exactly. If you go to England, you don't expect them to, do everything the way that you would in America. You are traveling to another country, another city, another state. You have to expect they're going to run things a little differently than what you're used to. And I love that part of it. Like, we tried a lot of different things up there. There was this weird grape cherry thing that Evangeline really liked. I didn't, but I tried it. Thing? It was really weird. I don't know exactly what it was or what it was called. It was like, it was the size of a cherry tomato, but it was yellow and it was encased in this weird, like, onion kind of layer thing. So it was really, it looked really interesting and stuff. And I tried it and I was like, nope, I'm not okay with this. This is the weirdest flavor. It kind of like, I don't know, it tasted like a tomato and a plum with a cherry all mixed into one. And I was not okay with that flavoring. So anyhow, yeah, I was like, it was interesting. So anyhow.
It was a good trip though, right?
Yeah, no, I had a good time.
All right. Well, oh my goodness, we've almost hit 2 hours. I
think this is probably going to be broken up into a couple different.
I feel like you may have done. You came back. You saw that me and Brian.
I had to beat you out.
Yeah. It was, so it was like so Chris. Yeah. We had it for a while. We had it for a week. The longest podcast. Laura got wind of it and it's like, no, we're gonna go longer. You thought you could run way over an hour.
You thought you could come onto my show into my house.
But stay tuned because I have a feeling that Chris will come back eventually. Because
well, we plan on having other guests too. Eventually, we're gonna get Evangeline Anderson into here. Yes. And so we keep talking about it, but our schedules haven't quite lined up yet.
Yes, and I hope you liked our audio. And as I've already said before, if you've been listening this far too, I would, thank you so much.
Yes.
And I would like you, since you've been so engaged with us, if you have a chance to have some time in your day, send us an email at admin at itcouplepodcast.com.
Admin, ADMIN at itcouplepodcast.com.
You say that so much clearer than me. My accent is just too rough.
No, you mumble sometimes.
Very true, very true. But if you could, just send us an email. Tell us what you think, tell us what you like, tell us what you would like us to include in. We will be listening to your suggestions because we haven't mentioned this till like nearly the end. So you listen to us, and we've been a valuable part of your time, hopefully, for almost 2 hours. And we would love to hear from you.
Most likely, this is not going to be one episode.
This is going to be one episode.
No, this is like... No, anyhow. We're wrapping up.
We'll put a part 1 and part 2. We'll at least make it that nice. But if you listen to both parts, oh my goodness, we definitely want to hear from you. You are something very special. And you know what? For everybody who does send an email, we will also give you a shout out. Include, we'll see the name on there, but include the name you want to be addressed by,
or business.
Or business, yeah, sure. We'll shout that out as well. And you will be heard on the next podcast, guaranteed. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, everyone, take it easy.
See ya!